Okay. So one is the data structures, another one is the syntax. Okay. Anyone else recording the video, the lecture?
Yes, sir. I'm recording it in the Zoom.
Okay. আমার ভিডিওটা অফ হয়ে গেছিল, so I think I missed some of it. Okay. So when you actually start learning a programming language, you need to understand two things basically. One is the data structure and the syntax. Okay, let's see. So what is the data structure? Data structure is how data can be represented. Can be represented in that programming language. Okay, how data can be represented in that particular programming language. Now, I believe you're already familiar with C and MATLAB. So I am assuming everyone knows MATLAB very carefully. So I'm going to compare Python when you introduce these things with your MATLAB so that you have easier to understand. So let's say you have some data like, for instance, student ID, for instance. Let's say you have some student ID. So let's say X is equals to 101, 102, 104, 105, like this. Okay. So you have some student ID, and I want to store those student IDs in a variable. So to do that, what do we have? We have something called এটাকে কি বলে MATLAB an array, right? I put everything inside a third bracket. Okay, and this is called an array. So this is the most common types of data structure that you are already familiar with. In Python, we also have an array, same thing, but we use a different name. We call it a list. Okay, we call it a list. Okay, a list of items. So 101, 102, everything is like a element in your list X. So this is your list X that is containing all the IDs. Okay. Now in MATLAB, you will see that you have seen that array can be numeric array, array can be character array, it can also be cell array, right? মনে আছে? We had three different types of array, but in list everything is combined into one. Okay, you can put everything inside. Like I cannot just write ID. I can also write the name. Let's say his name is John 102. His name is what? Lady 104. Okay, his name is Gandalf. Things like that. So I can put, and you have to put everything inside a quotation mark. So your list can also contain strings or characters as well. That's the difference from Python list with the MATLAB side. So we'll dive into deeper just to introduce later. I'll discuss more on these things. So this is the most common type list. And the next one that you just saw is string. If you want to have some character like a name or name of a country, Dhaka or Bangladesh, things like that. If you want to put everything, you have to put everything inside a like Dhaka, single quote or a double quote. You have to put everything inside single quote or a double quote, and both are actually same in Python. Both these things represent the same thing. Both are called string. In MATLAB, these things are different. In MATLAB, we had character array and string, and both were very different things. Okay, both had many difference, but in Python, both are actually the same thing. So that is what we call a string. This is another data type. So if you want to there's something like characters, represent something like characters, store something, you can actually store it using this way. Acha. So list string, there are two very common data types. Python also offers some other data types. For instance, a tuple. Okay, a tuple. For your list, we use third bracket. For string, we use first bracket or second bracket. A tuple is something that you don't have in MATLAB. So it is represented by a parenthesis, first bracket. So let's say if we write it like this way, 200, 10. Okay, so a tuple like this. you store data like this way. So it looks more like list, but there is a difference between list and tuple. We'll discuss after some time. So we don't have something equivalent to tuple in your MATLAB. Okay. Now moving on, Python also offers sets. This is another data type. We also don't have anything like that in MATLAB. Now here is a catch. Let's say, for instance, look at this one. Look at this one. I wanted to know, try to understand. I wanted to store the student ID, but also the name, like a pair of data. Okay. Is this okay when I write this one? Let's say this is your x2. Okay, your x2. Let's make it y. I am writing 101, then the name, ID, then the name. This makes it somewhat like not very clear representation that 101 represents the name John. It is not clearly written there, right? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
So the question is like, if I want to represent data like this way, I want to represent that 10 ID name is John, like a pair of data. What can I do? So that's the question, how to represent data using Python. So that's why you have to learn the data structure. If you have some question, if you have some data, how we can actually represent it. One way to represent it, much more interesting, would be a list of tuples. For instance, if I had written like this, Z, that is equals to a list. But now I have inside, I have a tuple like this. So 101, his name is, let's say, Harry. 103, 102, his name is Ron, with his string, of course. Then 104, his name is Luna. Okay, like this way. Now, if we have seen, now you have seen that if we put everything inside a tuple, so that's now you have a pair. Now you can say, okay, 101, first one is the student ID, then you have the name of the student. 102, his name of the student. Now everything is an element in the list, and every element is a pair of tuples. Okay, pair of items inside a tuple. Now you can see it's more clear. Is it clear? কি মনে হয়? Y না Z? Which one is better?
Z.
Yeah.
Z.
Yeah, Z looks better, right? So this is something you can do. That's the purpose of tuple. You can represent much clearly. That's even better way to represent data. So let's see. A more advanced version, let's say D is equals to, is what we call a dictionary. A dictionary. So a dictionary starts with curly braces, second bracket. So you write 101, then a colon. Then you put the name, Harry. Okay, then a comma. Then you go to next line, 102. Then you put the name Ron. Then 104, let's say Galadriel. Okay, like this way, you end it. Now you can see everything likes comes as a, is what we call a key value pair. Key, then you have a value and a pair like this way. So that is what we call a dictionary. Okay, on the left side, you have the keys, and the right side, you have the values related to the keys. So this way, just like your normal Oxford dictionary, you have a word. On the right side, you have the meaning of the words, meaning of the word. So that's like the same thing dictionary. So this way, you can represent even much more clearly, makes it much more easier for you to understand what is actually written there. Are you following? So this is actually another type of data type that is available, that is called a dictionary. Okay. In MATLAB, we don't have something exactly. We have something that is the structured data type, something similar to this one. Okay, if you're familiar with this one. So you have a string, list, string, tuple, sets, dictionary. What else? So previously you have worked with something like this, a table, right? So a table can be like this. You have the student ID, then you have the name, then you can have his CGPA, and then you can which year he is in, so what's his hometown, things like that. You can have many information, 101, 102, like this. Now, this kind of information, can you represent something using a list? করা যাবে?
No, sir.
Sir.
So it will make it much more difficult for you to represent something so many information using a simple list. So you need much more like better type of data structure. So in MATLAB, you have seen there was the table data type, right? There was a table data type. We can create a table like this. So these were the columns, or we can say these are the features or the attributes. This is what we call the columns, features, or attributes, and these are the sample. These are the samples or the examples that we have, row wise. So in similar to that one, in Python, we have something that is called a data frame. Okay, that is called a data frame. So the name is different. In MATLAB, what we call a table, in Python, we have something similar that is called a data frame. So you can see we have similar data structure just like MATLAB, we have Python as well. And we have to understand and learn this data structure if we want to learn the programming language. We have to learn the data structure, understand, and then we have to understand how to represent those things. That's the syntax part. Okay, so these are the two things. So you have seen some of the data structures. Now you have to see what are the syntax, how to represent a list, how to work with a list, how to represent a string or tuple dictionary like this. Is it clear so far? Any question? Any question?
Sir, in the tuple example, 101, Harry, does it belong to a single index?
Jed, for this one.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is single index. This is the first index. This is the second index. This is the third index. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Now let's move on. Let's start. So let's start with our list. This is the first data type. So if you see here, no. Okay, so you can go through the introduction. You have the data list. So this is your list. Okay, so from here we're going to start. So if you have opened the notebook, you can also practice alongside. So let's see. First, you can see we have created a list like A. The list name is A, and you can see there are numeric values as well as the strings are there. So that's how you create a list. Okay, so in your personal notebook, please create a list by yourself. Create a list by yourself. Okay, and create this list. And create this list. This list. Okay, create this list. You have 3 or 4 student IDs. Everything inside is a tuple. When you are done, please take a screenshot and share it in the comment section. Share it in the chat box. Quickly. আর হয়নি? Once you are done, just take a screenshot and upload it in the comment section here. Group chat. Okay. Yeah, 121. Good. Create a new cell and then submit it. That's better. Anyone else? I found only one. Okay, so that's fear. Okay, you don't have to write print. Let's make it. You don't have to write print. If you just write jet, it is going to show you. Okay, you don't need to print it because you are using cell by cell. Print লেখার কোনো দরকার নেই. So it's just a waste of time. Just write jet and it is going to show you what is the value of values inside the variable. Okay. 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 Acha. So let's move on. Yes, everyone is doing it. So list. So we have created a list. Let's see. Let's say I have a list like this. A is equals to some number 10, 2, let's say 0. And then we have our Gandalf. Okay. And then we have, let's say, Bruce. 5 elements. Okay. So let's say this is our list. Okay. Acha. Now, let's try to understand how to work with a list and what are list actually, what list represent. So first thing that you have to know is the indexing. Achha. Okay, so the indexing in Python, it starts from 0. That's something you have to be careful. The first index starts from 0. Okay, let's make it a tuple. Let's put it inside a tuple. Okay, achha. So the first index starts from 0. In MATLAB, index starts from 1, but in Python, it starts from 0. So this is your 0, this is your 1, this is your 2, this is your 3. Okay, very careful. So in Python, index starts from 0. And if I want to extract elements using the index, I can just write a of 0. That is going to show you what is the value is there. So it is going to show you 10. Okay, so and here, careful about one thing. The indexing, when you call index, we have to use a third bracket to index. In MATLAB, you have to do it using first bracket, but in Python, everything is third bracket. So remember these things. I'm just asking you to be careful, otherwise you'll make mistakes, silly mistakes. So in Python, you have to put everything inside a third bracket. Okay, and indexing starts from 0. So if I write a of 0, a of 3, I'm going to get Bruce, right? So what will happen if I just write a of 4? It is going to show an error. Okay, but what is the error? Can anyone tell me? Try it on your try it yourself and let me know what is the error it is saying. What is the error? Anyone?
Index error.
Yeah,
Index error.
index error. What is the message?
So out of range.
Out of range. Okay. Always remember these errors because it will help you debug your problem and debug your code once you make a mistake. So you can see there is no fourth element in the list. That's why it is saying that the error message is saying it is actually out of range. Okay. So you don't have any fourth element. So you have 4 elements, but index starts from 0. So it is 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, next thing is that about indexing is Python also supports negative indexing. Negative indexing means I can also go in the opposite way. How opposite? Let's see. So this is -3. So I can say this is actually -1. This is actually -2. This is -3. This is -4. Like in the opposite direction. Okay. So if I write like this way, a of -1, it is going to give me the last element, Bruce. Again. Okay. So that's the interesting part. So Python also supports negative indexing. So you can also go in the opposite direction. You just don't have to go always in the forward direction. Okay. That is something is not available in MATLAB. So you can do it like this way. -1, -2, -3, -4. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So these are two types of indexing. You have the for positive indexing, you can also support negative indexing and starting with 0. So that is the first thing. Let's see. This is the second thing. So this is your list. You have some examples already given there. So if you practice, you will see, you will understand. Achha, there is one more thing. So if we have something, for instance, let's say Achha, I want the first element inside this tuple. Okay. So a list can contain another tuple. A list can also contain another list. Okay. That's interesting because if you have 10, then let's say 20, then I can also have 4, 5, 10, another. So a list can also call another list. Okay. This is called a list of lists. List of lists. Now, say if I want to extract some element from a list of lists, let's say I want the first element from here, or let's say this one. So how do you do? You have to have second level indexing. So it goes like this way. So you have this is the first one, right? So we have the first one, A of 1, then also the first element. So I want to go first from the first index 1, then again the first one. So I have to go like this. A of 1, A of 1, then 0. Okay. This is second level indexing. Then it will going to give me 2. Is it clear? Check it.
Yes, sir.
Check on your device that it is coming on. If you had done it using MATLAB, in MATLAB, how would you have done? MATLAB আমরা লিখতাম এইভাবে করে, তাই না? MATLAB 0 ছিল না, so it has to be 2 and 1, and things like that. So in MATLAB, everything was inside a parenthesis and then inside separated by comma. But in Python, you have different indexing. Okay, you have first level, second level. That's how you proceed. So this is a list of lists or list of things. You can do it like this way. Acha. So this is about indexing. I hope everything is clear. Any question regarding this? Karo kono question? Acha. Moving on. Let's say slicing. Now, slicing means if I want to extract something from the list. Okay. Let's say I have the names. I have Gandalf and Bruce here. So I want to extract these two elements. I want to extract both these elements from my list. So what we can do? So you see, let's see. Okay, let's say I have another list. Let's make it B. Now, what do you want to do? I want to extract these 3 elements from the list. Okay, so how do you have to go? I have to slice something from a list. So I will go like this, B. So Gandalf, the index starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Index starts from 3. So 3 is there. Then I will use this sign. This is called is2. From 3, this is called is2. Up to what? 3, 4, 5, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I do like this, what will be the answer? Check. If you do like this, there is going to be answer a bit different. The answer. What is the answer?
Gandalf and Bruce.
Gandalf and Bruce. Where is the Baragon?
Python is close to our last box.
Speed force দৌড় মারছে। Okay, আমরা খুঁজে পাচ্ছি না। Oh, okay. So here is the thing. You have to be careful again. You have to be careful about these things. There are small things that you need to be careful. Python indexing this way like this. This is what we call upper bound exclusive. Upper bound exclusive. It means when you are indexing like this way, it doesn't contain the last one. So it is going to give you 3, 4, but not the last one. Up to this. So if you remember the sign in your intermediate, things like that. Okay. So if you are considering like this, so this is the third element, this is the fourth element. It is not going to take the 5 element. It is going to start from here and finish here, like this way. Okay. So that's how we actually proceed. So 3, 4. So it is going to take 3 and 4, not the fifth element. So if you want to take the 5 one, so you have to write like this way. B of 3 is to 6. Then it is going to take 3, 4, 5. Okay. So is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so be very careful because sometimes you will forget. I also still forget sometimes. So this upper bound exclusive is something you need to be careful on. Achha. So that's one thing. Another thing, let's say I want to take, it starts from Gandalf to the end, everything towards the end. So I can do like this way. B of 3 is 2 and close the bracket. That means I want to start from 3 and go all the way. Everything that we have in the right hand side, I want to see. Is it okay? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if I want to take before Gandalf, then what do you have to write? What should be my code? Everything before Gandalf. আমার কোডটা কি হবে? Anyone?
Is to
3 is
6.
-1,
Is to
-1.
আচ্ছা।
up to Gandalf. And everything up to Gandalf. That means I want these things.
So
Is
0
to
to 3,
4.
0 to 4.
Is to 4. Yeah, I can use 0 to 4 and I can just say is to 4. Then it is going to give me 0, 1, 2, no, is to 3. Right? If I do 0 is to all is to 3, that means 3 is bad, 3 is gone. So I have 0, 1, 2, first 3 elements are there. So that's how the indexing actually works. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is slicing. And I can also use slicing. Okay. I can also do slicing using negative indexing as well. So if I write like this, for instance, B of, this is hot, -1, -2, -2, -3, -4. So if I do -2 is to -5. আসবে? Will I get something? Check. If I try like this way, if you want to go in the reverse way. What is the answer?
Blank, sir.
An empty list, right? It does this enough?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is not showing an error, just an empty list. There is a difference between these two. Achha. Now, why it is coming this way?
Sir, it goes in the forward direction.
Yes, that's the answer. So this sign is to actually means go in the forward direction. This means you have to go in the forward direction. So you start from -2 and asking it to go -5. No, it only understands that -2 to forward direction and it is not finding anything there. So that's why it is going to give you an empty index, empty array, empty list. So if you write B of -4 is to -1, then you are going to get that is 3 element, right? এখন আসবে? -4 is to -1. কি মনে হয় আসবে?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now it is coming because now it starts from -4. That's what you are here. And then we go to this way. So then it is going to work. Okay. -4 is to -1. Achha. Now, here is another thing. What if I want to make a jump? Let's say I want to make the first element, then third element, then fifth element like this way. What do you have to do? I have to say 1 is to, let's say 0 is to n. Let's say 0 is to 6th element. Then you see the third item actually means the jump. If I write 2, it is going to jump 2 steps at a time. Are you following? The last one is the jump step. If you write 3, it will jump 3 steps at a time. So if I here, let's say if I write b of -4 is to -4 is to -1 is to, if I write -2, then it is going to jump. Sorry. এটার জন্য 2. If I want to jump into opposite direction, like here, if I want to make it work, I can just write -1. Then it will give you the answer. Okay, check this one. Check this one and this one. So if you put a minus sign, it is going to go in the reverse direction. -1 means reverse direction 1 step at a time. -2 means reverse direction 2 step at a time, like this way. Is it okay? আসতেছে? সবার আসছে? Any question? Okay, so you can see this is the jump step. So this is also done, slicing array. Now item assignment. Let's move on. সবার আসছে নাকি আসেনি? কারো ভুল আসতেছে?
আসছে।
Now item assignment. So if you want to assign something, like if you want to change something, let's say I have the name in the last one, I have the name 10 here. I want to change it. Okay, so I can say b of -1. That's how you get the last element. -1, let's put it Cavill. Okay, or Henry Cavill. So now it will change. The b will change. Now if you check b, you will see the b, the last element has been changed from 10. It was previously 10. It is now changed to Cavill. Is it okay? You can change the item like this way. Very simple, just like your MATLAB. This is your item assignment. But if you do something like this, let's say b of, what would I say? Let's say 10. 10 is equals to, let's say, Harry. Very good. So this is Max Payne. Now it is going to show you an error. What will be the error if I write like this way? Errorটা কি হবে?
Out of it.
Yes.
Out of it.
So least assignment index out of range.
Yes, out of range. That's the error. Okay. Out of range. Because you don't have 10 items there. The last item that you have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can go up to 6. Anything larger than that, it is going to say out of range. So you cannot take that. So everything has to be within the list. Then you can assign. So you can easily ask the question, what if I want to add the name Max Payne with my list? How can I do that? Right? How to do that?
So b of 3 equals to Max Payne.
B of?
3 or 4.
Now I
Within
want
the
to add it in the end, after this. After this array, then how can I do this?
Sir, append using the append.
Yeah, okay, I'm going there. So you see, so I have the list object, that is what is an object. We'll talk about object a little bit later. Now you see, when you have created the list, that's like your MATLAB. In MATLAB, we work with basically matrix or an array, basically matrix, and you had lots of different function available in matrix. Okay, and শেষ নাই, a triangular function, you had flip function, you have factorial function, you have max function, mean function, sum function, max k, mean k, hundreds of different functions, right? So MATLAB actually offers different functionalities. Python also offers functionalities, but limited. Okay, And if you want to know what are the functionalities that are available, so B is your list, right? So B or say A, so that's a list. You say list object. Okay. You say this is a list object. Okay. You have created an instance of the list object or instance of the class list. You can tell like this way, think of like this way. So if you want to see what are the built-in function available in this kind of list, you just have to write directory dir of B. If you put it like this way, it is going to show you all the functions that are available. So if you check here, so if you look at the directory, dir directory, you can see, forget about the first things that comes with a underscore. Okay, forget about those things. Those are different things related to class. We'll discuss later. Look at the last few. Okay, you see in the last one, you have the append, then you have clear, copy, count. These are the methods that are available to you. Is it okay? আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are the methods that you can actually perform on a list. And how do you perform a method? That's a bit different. When you try to perform a method, it comes like this way: B, then you put a dot sign. Then you have the method. Method means function. In MATLAB, we actually call function. In Python, we call it method. Okay, name is different. So you say B dot, for instance, append is a method available. So you say B dot append, your list, then dot, then your method name, and put a parenthesis there. Okay, so append means you want to append something with your list B. So what do you have to append? You have to write it inside the parenthesis. So if I want to write it here, let's say I want to write Elicient. I want to add this one. Now this name Elicient will be appended with your list B. Is it clear? আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
So if you look at your notebook, so you see this was our A, and when I write A dot append, Elicient is appended at the end. So if this is how you actually append something in the end. Okay. So some of the function, you can add anything like this. You can add multiple things like this way. So some of the functions are available. You can actually check it by yourself in the documentary, list documentary, you will find those things. For instance, reverse. Now reverse function does not need any argument inside. Okay, so if you write reverse, but you have to put a parenthesis there. Okay, the parenthesis stands for a method. You are calling a method. Now you can see the list is completely reversed in the reverse direction. Okay, so if I move on, like say count, a dot count function, I have not put anything inside, and you see it is going to show you an error. What is the error? The error says that list.count function takes exactly one argument. Okay, because it shows how many times whatever inside the count parenthesis is there, how many times that item actually appears in the list A. So এই লিস্টে কোন একটা আইটেম কয়বার আসছে সেটা তুমি জানতে চাও। So you have to say কোন আইটেমটা তুমি খুঁজতেছো। So you have to particularly mention which item you are actually looking for. That should be inside. So if I write a.count1, it is going to search how many times one appeared in the list A. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So try to understand. You have everything written here. You can actually practice this notebook. It is going to make you everything much clear to you. Now, any question? Anyone, any question?
Sir, if we want to add 2 or 3 numbers after the array in the last of the array, so what will we do then?
2, 3 numbers.
Yeah.
You can do it like this way. So let me show you another one. So you can write B plus a simpler one. Let's say I want 125. This 3 element. Put everything inside a list, then use this plus sign. It is going to add those things with your list. Okay. Is it clear? This plus sign is like they are like keyboard shortcut. Okay. Or and if you want to do using append, yeah. So in append, if you want to use append, you have to use only one item at a time. Okay. Append does not support multiple items. If you use bracket, third bracket, you will append the list alongside. So you can use this one, the plus sign. Is it working? Check করে
Yes,
দেখো।
sir, it is working, sir.
So you can, it should work. So that's a simple way if you want to do it. Now later we'll see a more advanced version of list. Okay, this list is actually very limited. Python basic function to Python basic data structures list is very limited. Later we'll see new libraries. One of the libraries called a NumPy array. Okay, this NumPy array has much better functionalities. Just like your MATLAB offers hundreds of different functionalities, NumPy array actually offers similar functionalities. And we'll mostly work with NumPy array. That is in the second lab, not in the first lab. We'll discuss later NumPy array. Acha, let's move on.
Sir,
হ্যাঁ বলো।
how can we append in the middle?
You cannot append in the middle. You cannot append something in the middle. You can put something in the middle, I think. It's insert. You see there is an insert option. Acha method.
Yes, sir.
So using the insert, you can actually put an item in a particular index. Okay, in the middle, something, wherever you want to put. Okay, you can use that insert option. Check the documentary how to do it, how to work with that one. Okay. Acha. Now, let's move on to tuple. Acha. Now, see, tuple is something similar. Any other question from list? Acha, let's move on. So tuple is similar to list but very limited. What are limitations? You can see item assignment is not allowed here. Add item is not allowed here. Delete item, nothing is allowed. Okay, so why do we need a tuple then? So when you create a tuple, you cannot delete something from it. So let's see. If you have a tuple, if you want to create a tuple, you can just write tuple of B. It is going to convert the list B into a tuple. Okay, that's one way. Another way, you can just create a tuple like this, 2, 4, 10, 6, like this way. Now, the thing about tuple is that you cannot add anything to your tuple. You cannot remove anything from your tuple. You cannot item assignment is not allowed. So nothing is allowed in tuple. So this is what we call an immutable object. Immutable means you cannot change it. You cannot mutate it. A list was a mutable object. You could mutate it. Okay. But when you have a tuple, you cannot mutate the object. Okay, it is different. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Then you can simply ask the question, why do we need the tuple? কেন এটা কাজ কি তাইলে সুবিধা কি? What is the benefit from tuple if I cannot do anything with it? Now, if you want to, for indexing part, it's just as the same as before list. So if you write d of 0, it is going to give you the first element. So index work just as the before, same as list. Okay, indexing or slicing, those things actually works the same, but you cannot actually append anything like this. Acha.
Sir, is tuple faster than the list?
হ্যাঁ, ওটাই faster than the list. আচ্ছা, ওটাই বলতেছি। See, when you actually create a list in the memory space, if you think of the memory location inside, when you create a list, you have to assign some memory allocated to it. But list you have to always keep the flexibility that list can anytime need more space. Sometimes you can remove something from it. You might need less space. So it is like, because of this mutation criteria, it can extend in size, reduce in size like this way. So you have to keep that flexibility in your memory space when you are allocating some memory, that the list size can be increased at the any time. But when you are creating a for a tuple, when you are creating a memory space, this is fixed. It is not going to change its size. You can just allocate a space and you can say for sure that it is going to remain that one towards the end of your code. So you see, you have to have less memory space required for your tuple than your list. Are you following? আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
জি স্যার।
Yes, sir.
So when you are writing a code like a very big code, when you have something that you don't have to change, you can just put everything like this inside a tuple. That will reduce your memory requirements. Okay, so that's why you use tuple. And it comes to like this way. For instance, let's say when you create a table has a size, like say there are 1000 rows and 20 columns. And you will see it comes as the output from that function. If you write size of the table or data frame that you have, the output comes as a tuple, because you see the size of the data frame is going to come as a tuple because you don't have to change it. It is fixed, some characteristics of the data frame that you have. So you don't have to change it anything. You have to update it. So that's why those things comes as a tuple by default. Okay, that's why we need tuple. Is it clear? Achha. You will see in many cases you will find the application of tuple as you work on Python. Achha. So you can see creating a tuple, then creating a tuple, first element, last element, indexing works just as the same. And if you look at the directory of the tuple, you will see only two functions are available: count and index. Count is for counting the element, particular element, how many times, what is the frequency, and index, the index of some particular element. That are the two things only you have. Is it okay? And if you see, if you want to assign something, you can see tuple object does not support item assignment. You cannot assign something inside a tuple. It is fixed. Achha. Is it clear? Any question? Any question? Achha. Now let's look at something. It's very important and careful. Alias. Okay. Follow my instruction carefully. Achha. Let's say I create an a list. X is equals to like this. Let's say 3, 10, 5. ঠিক আছে? আমি একটা list create করছি. I have created a list called X. আচ্ছা. In the next line, I say Y, another list, is equals to X. Exactly the same. Y is equals to X. Achha. Now, let's do something. In the next one, I write x.append. I want to append something to it. Let's say I appended something like amount. Okay, I append a name there. Now, if you look at after this command, if you look at X, what should be the X now? It will look like this. ঠিক আছে না? But what should be the Y now? At this state, Y is equals to this. So Y was like 3, 10, 5. Now, what should be the Y now? Write this. Write it in your PC. Write these things, instructions in your PC, and check what happens to Y now.
Same as X. 3, 10, 5, and M1.
Why? If you check it, Y will look like this. But you have not add anything to Y. You have only add something to X, not Y. Then why Y has changed? বুঝে গেছে আমার কথা? Check it on your PC. Okay, so আসছে সবার একই রেজাল্ট?
Yes.
Everyone
জি
getting?
স্যার।
Okay, so why these things happening? I am not changing anything to y. I am not doing anything to y. Then why y has changed? Okay, this is something, another thing you have to be very careful. You see, it comes from this statement. This statement is different than MATLAB. What does it mean? So when you have created an X, a memory space is allocated to it. Okay, let's say this is memory space, okay, fixed. But when you write the statement y is equals to X, y is given to the same memory space, not just a value, but the same memory space is directed to y as well. Are you following? So in later stages, when you have changed the X to something bigger, like this way, the same memory space is allocated to y, so y is also changed, the same thing, because they actually point to the same memory location. Are you following? So this sign actually says that place y in the same memory location as X. Place y in the same memory location as X. So that's why when you use the equal sign, if you update X, y is also updated. Okay, so that's something you can actually easily make a mistake. And I had made mistake, when I first started using Python, and this was something I didn't know. So you have to be very careful when you use the equal sign. Don't use the equal sign in MATLAB, in Python, because that will create some problems. Sometimes you are changing X, but out of nowhere, whatever you have write the equal sign, that variable is also changed. So what should you do then? কি করব তাহলে? So the
Copy.
solution is, the
Copy
solution is
করব।
copy. So the solution is, you will see, if you look at the directory of the list, there is a function called copy. Okay, if you create like this way x.copy, it is going to create a shallow copy of X and point to a different directory, different location, memory space. So Z is now going to have a different location, memory space compared to X. Now, if you update X, X is not going to be updated. Is it clear? আমার কথা বোঝা গেছে? So this is
Yes,
called
sir.
an alias problem. So this is the alias that you are creating. So don't use equal sign. So if you have to create create a copy of something, just use the copy function. And most of the data structure you will see Python has the copy function inside. If you look at the directory, okay. So if you go here, so this is the alias problem. It is discussed here. You can see, and if you go a little bit earlier, so you see this is the copy function. This is the copy function that you have, okay, available in the list. Achha. So you have seen so far, you have seen two data structure, list and tuple. Then you have seen the alias problem that it creates. Now, move on to strings. So this is something I keep it up to you. You have the notebook. So now try to practice create a string. See some of the directory. You can see the directories, many of the functions are available. In directory, you can see a string actually supports many of the functions. Try or 2 or 3 functions by yourself and show the screenshot and upload the screenshot in your comment box. Okay. Create a string by yourself. You already know the same thing. The string actually works the same way. Indexing is same, other things are same, but it is immutable. We'll talk about this one at the end. And test some of the function on the string that you create and show, upload the screenshot in the chat box. Okay. I'm ask this 2 minutes time. Okay, lower upper. Try something else. Mustahid. Try some other functions. Try some other functions. Okay, there are lots of different functions. You can see split function, title function, find function. There are lots of different functions. Try something else. Upper and lower. Something more. শুধু দুইটা ফাংশন ইউজ করলে হবে? হ্যাঁ, split function. You can see if you look at the split function, what it is doing. Split function splits the string in the white space character. Okay, by default. Now you can check inside the split function, if you write A or B, something like this, it is going to split at that location. Okay, try to check it. Check it. Yes, replace, that's also fine. Swap this. Replace at the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay, so I think everyone got the idea. If you want to know something like in particular, you can actually check the documentation. So if you want to know particular, you can check the documentation. You can also see some of the functions like is digit, is numeric, is title, is upper, things like that. You have seen something in MATLAB as well. So similar functions are available here. Okay, so let's move on. So string, when it comes to string, so when it comes to a string, you have seen there are the Python actually offers lots of different functionalities, but there are actually a lot of different things we might have to do using string. Okay, if you actually work with string data, you have to do a lot of different things. So for those one, there is a Python library that is called regular expression. I'm not sure you have learned those things in your MATLAB. I used to cover regular expression. So in Python also supports a library regular expression. And it is really good, much better than MATLAB, much more, much clear. Hey, এটা কি হইছে? ব্যাটম্যান সুপারম্যান ইজ দ্য ওর্স মুভি, এর খবর আছে। এর খবর আছে, আইডি কি রে? 121, এটা কে? এটা ধরা লাগবে।
স্যার স্নাইডার কাটটা মানে ফার্স্ট যে
স্নাইডার
মুভিটা
কাটটা বেস্ট।
না স্নাইডার কাট ঠিক আছে মানে ফার্স্ট যে মুভিটা হইছে ওইটা
ওটা তো 40 মিনিট কাইটা দিছে, ওখানে তো কোনো স্টোরি কোনো কিছুই নাই। এটা সব ওয়ার্নার ব্রাদার্সের কাহিনী। ভালো একটা মুভিকে একদম ফাটায় নষ্ট করে ফেলছে। আয়ার একই অবস্থা, আয়ার কাঠের মুভিটাও ভালো হওয়ার কথা। মুভিগুলো সব নষ্ট করছে, এটা জাস্ট ফানি মুভি বানাতে যায়, সবকিছু নষ্ট করে দেয়। আচ্ছা, যাই হোক, so let's come to string. So you can create a string using like this way. My name is Khan. So you can do different functions as you have seen, but let's say if you want to change something using indexing just as before, you will not be able to change it. So item assignment is not allowed. Okay, item assignment not allowed. So if you want to write a of 2 is equals to something like this, it is going to show you an error. If you check it, it is going to show you an error. Okay, so just like this. So if you want to check on this one, s of 2 is equals to w. You can see string object does not support item assignment. Okay, you can replace something. That's another issue, using a method, separate method to offer to actually get out of this. But by default, string does not support item assignment. Achha. Now, if you want to add something, you can also do something like this interesting. You can also write a plus. Okay, a plus. If you want to write, let's say Snyder. Okay, if you can also join two strings together like this way. Okay, just like you could have joined two list items together, you can also join two strings together using this plus sign. So this is a shortcut function that's very useful. Acha. Let's move on a bit. We have the string. Now let's go to dictionary. Now let's go to dictionary. Acha. So how do you create a dictionary? So for dictionary, let's see. If I want to create a dictionary, okay, you have to create using a parenthesis. Okay, so dictionary is just like your normal dictionary. It comes with a key value pair. So the first one is called the key. Okay, so let's say name. The first one is called a key name. Okay, so name is, let's say, John. This is also now. Then the item after the colon that you have, that is called the value. Okay, just like your key value pair. So name is John. So his family. So family inside. And inside the dictionary, you can also have a list. Okay, so inside the values, it can also be a list like this way. So you can say Stark, Targaryen. Okay, you can also have a number. For instance, is equals to, let's say, 25. You can also assign a number inside as well. Okay, so that's how we actually create a dictionary. So this is like a relational object. Previously, using any of the previous data structure that you have seen, you can actually represent relation properly. But here you can actually represent relation between two variables very nicely. Okay, like this way. Now, if you have created a dictionary like this, if you want to start indexing, this is not going to work. Dictionary does not support numerical indexing. Okay, previously you could use numerical indexing for list, tuple, or your string. But when you have dictionary, it does not support numeric indexing. You have to write like this way. You have to index using the key values. You have to use keys. You have to use the key to index something. So, and this is going to give you the answer 25. It will not work with values. Okay, just like your dictionary, if you ask for the word, it is going to show you what does the word mean. Okay, but it does not work in the opposite way. Okay, so that's the dictionary you have, and that is how we create a dictionary. So you will need dictionary later. You will see. And if you look at the functions, so you can see directory of D, you will see many of the functions that are available with, and some of the functions are called, let's say, keys. So if you write d.keys, it is going to give you all the keys that are available in your dictionary. Okay, if you write d.values, it is also going to give you all the values of the dictionary that you have. Okay, so what is the data type of this one? The result of this one. What is the data type? কে বলতে পারবে? Try and see what is the data type. So this is your dictionary. This is the indexing does not work. Okay, and yeah, কি বলা হচ্ছে, a number can also be a key. You can see a number can also be a key, just like one, like this way. Okay, so what is the data type? You can see these are the functions that are available to you. Clear copy function is there if you want to copy a dictionary. Then you have get items, pop item, things like that. So now, what was the question? Okay, so if I write d.keys, what is the data type?
Class dict keys.
Yeah, dict keys. Okay, if you check here, you can see it is coming as dictionary keys. Inside you have a list, but the data type is actually dictionary keys. So sometimes you need the items as a list. So what do? You just add like this way, list of command, list of like this. Then it will convert it into a list, directly list. Okay. So you can check with the functions that are available. Okay, you can just try it. Now, function. Okay. So in MATLAB, you have seen how to create a function. You can also do the same in Python. In function, we call them method in Python. We just use the different terminology method. So the way is kind of similar, only the syntax is different. The keyword is def, definition, and def, def, is the keyword that you use to create a function. So def, then you have, let's say, the output variable. Okay. def এর পর function name. Okay, output variable ছিল হচ্ছে তোমার MATLAB এ। So you have to have, after the definition, you have to give the function a name, unique, not the method that is already available in Python, different function. Okay. Then inside you have the input variables. Then you have a colon. Okay. So then you have a colon. Then after that, you have to go for some of the statement that you want to create. And then you have something that is called return. Return what? The output variable. Whatever you want to return from it, that should be there. So it should be. So if I try to create something like this, let's say, let's create a function. I give definition and let's say, let's give it a name, function1. Let's say func1. Okay. The input variable is A and B. Two variables are there. Then I say the relation x is equals to A 2 times A plus 3 times B. For instance, I'm giving the relation. These are local variables. A and B are local variables. Only they are inside the function. So x, y is equals to, let's say, 2x minus 10. Then I want to return something. What I want to return? I want to return y. So it is going to return the value y like this. Is it clear? Is it clear how to create a function?
Yes, sir.
So if you look at the example here, okay, so here you can see the first one, definition is string to noun. I'm taking two numbers and just sum to noun. Okay, just summing those things together. Okay, there is another example in given here. You can see this one. You can read the question that is already given here. This is the question I have asked, and you have to create a function. You can try it by yourself. I believe it should be okay. We don't have much time, so we have to finish it. Okay, so try to create a function by yourself. I have given some assignment, and I have asked you to create multiple functions there. So try to do it. It is just as same as your MATLAB, just only the definition criteria is different. Now you can also say there is one thing. So in previously in MATLAB, we have worked with something that is called variable input argument, right? So Python also offers those things, and there is something using a asterisk sign. So that thing I have not covered in the first lab. If we need it in the later stages, I will show you how to do that. For now, you can actually work with some simple functions that will be enough for now. Okay, so that's your function. Now, so you have seen the basic data structures so far. You have seen, if we go back, we started with 5 of the basic data structure. We have seen how to create a list. We have seen a string. We have seen tuple. Sets, you don't need it for now. You have seen dictionary. Data frame is something we are going to look at in the next lab. You have seen how to create a function. Now you see, when it comes to Python, Python is very flexible and one of the most popular languages because it offers a wide range of library. So what is a library? Library is like in MATLAB, you have different toolboxes, right? Designed for a particular area, like radio frequency toolbox, okay, for that part. Or you have deep learning toolbox, or you have signal processing toolbox, things like that. So in Python, for different tasks, you have different libraries available. Okay, for different tasks, you have different libraries that are available. Now, if you look at those libraries, those things actually offers a wide range of functionalities that you need. Okay, if you don't use those things, it will make your life very difficult. So we'll rely on these libraries a lot. For instance, you have the list, but a more better version of list working with data is called a NumPy array. Okay, it comes from the library called NumPy library. Comes from the NumPy library. So the NumPy library offers a wide range of built-in functions. So you don't have to code it by yourself. So very large tasks you can make very simple if you have built-in functions that you have seen in MATLAB. Same things are available in the Python libraries. Okay, so list. Then you have the data frame. So the basic Python does not actually offers any function for creating a data frame. Python does not offer so, but we have a library. The library is called Pandas. we have a pandas library, and that library, the pandas library, actually creates, we can actually create a data frame. So you will need table a lot, especially when you work with data science. You will need table, you have to work with table a lot. We'll see something like this in the next lab. So how to work with table. So a particular library is available called pandas, and it offers hundreds and thousands of different functionalities. So again, if you want to work with machine learning, okay, so you have to, when working with machine learning, you have to build a lot of different models. So if you want to do by yourself, you'll have to write 2,000 lines of code, with 3,000 lines of code, lots of different things. You can do, instead of doing that, you can do this is just one line using some libraries that are available. And that library is called scikit-learn. Okay, you have the scikit-learn library where you can actually design a machine learning pipeline from top to bottom. The entire machine learning pipeline you can actually design using scikit-learn library. So that is the most widely used library for machine learning. Similarly, if you go for deep learning, that is a more advanced version of machine learning for unstructured data. For unstructured data, you need deep learning. Now, that thing, you have some libraries like, for instance, TensorFlow or PyTorch. You have other libraries like Lasagna, locally you see. Okay. So those libraries are there if you want to work in deep learning framework. So those libraries are especially designed to create those things by yourself. Okay, you don't have to write a long course. You can just rely on those libraries, and it will make your life very easier. So if you look at some of the libraries I have already mentioned here, so I have discussed some of them. For instance, you have Beautiful Soup if you want to work with web, okay, web scraping, things like that. You have Tkinter. Tkinter is for GUI. Okay, in MATLAB we have created GUI. The same thing is available in Python as well. That's called Tkinter. So you have something like this. Okay, so you have some SciPy, NumPy, things like that. Okay. Now, how to work with libraries? So if you want to work with libraries, if you are using like your Anaconda or Jupyter Notebook or Colab, some of the libraries you have to install. Okay, some of the libraries may be already installed, especially in Colab, many of the libraries are by default installed. But if you want to install the libraries, you can, very simple, it is not much. You just have to write pip install. Pip install. The process is already given in the library. Okay, pip install whatever the library you have. Okay, so very simple, one line command, and if you install the library, that means install all the functionalities in your space, in your Anaconda. Okay, now how to call the library? Let's say you have a library called math. Okay, math is a library, and math offers different functions. One of the function is POW. Okay, you can see the math documentary. If you search, you will find all the functions that are available. Different math functions like logarithmic function, power function, factorial function. These functions by default are not available in Python, but this math library in Python actually offers this function. So I want to use this function from the library math. Okay, so how do you do it? You cannot just write POW and it is not going to work. So what do you have to do? First, you have to import the library in your space, in your local space. Say, using this term import. So if I write import math, then the math library will be imported in your local space where you are actually working. Are you following? আমার কথা কি বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
So if you import the library math, it will import in your local space. Then you can write math.pow. Let's say 2,10. It is going to give you the 2 to the power 10, this functionalities. Okay, but you have to write math.pow to call that function power. If you want to call that function, you have to say like this way. So this is one way. This is the first way you can, and this is the most widely used approach. So you first import the library, then you call the function by that library name, math, then the function. Hacha. The second way is like you can say from math, that means from that library, import this function, import POW. You can directly mention that from the math library, I want to import this function. Then you can work like this way, POW 2,10. Because now POW function is directly available in your local space. Okay, so then you don't have to write math dot. You can just omit that part. So you can work both ways. So this is another way. Another approach is from math, import all. So this sign, this asterisk sign actually stands for all. That means all the functions that are available in the math library, it is directly imported in your local space. You can just call them. So you can call everything by name, pow, or you have factorial, I think, things like that. Everything you can actually call directly. But this actually, there is a problem with this one because this actually imports everything in your local space. So the memory required to run your code is actually increases significantly because some of the libraries are very big. You don't need all the functions that are available. So you can just work with very few. I will show you the library later in the third lab. I'll show you the scikit-learn library, pandas library, these things. Is it clear how to import a library? কারো কোনো সমস্যা
Yes,
আছে?
sir.
Now you can ask how to use a function then. So if you want to use a function that you have created, let's say I have created a function, let's say icost. Okay, icost.py. And this is inside this file name. Okay, and the function that I have, let's say category. Let's say this function. This is the function name categorize. Okay, so I can also say from icost, I can call, if it is in the same directory, I can call from the file, icost file, from icost, import this function categorize. Then I can use it. Is it clear? So this is how you can actually import a function from your, if you create a function like this, you can also import from the file. You have to call the file name and you can import it directly. It has to be in the same directory. The last thing about this is that you see some of the libraries, the name is actually a bit larger. So if every time you have to write numpy.this, numpy.this, it makes it very clear and very difficult. So we use alias to this one. So import numpy as np, short form. Okay, I can import a library using this as actually works from short form, this short name. Now it makes it very clear for you to call the library. So import pandas, if you have pandas as pd. Import matplotlib.pyplot. This is for your plotting as plt. So every time if you have to write matplotlib.pyplot something, that makes the time consuming. So you can just short form it using plt. These are, you can short form it anything if you want. You can write it mp as well. So, but the default is actually plt because everyone can actually understand it very clearly. So it is better to actually use the same name as you have. Okay, so that is the import thing. Any question? Any question regarding this? কারো কোনো question আছে so far? Okay, so I hope no question. So you can see those things, how to import libraries like this way. Now, if I go back, so this is your, you have seen how to, you have seen the Python data structures. You have seen how to create a function. You have seen how to work with libraries. Something we'll see in practical example in the second lab. Now, you have some few things left. Let's see, it is very simple things. And everything is actually written in the notebook. So you can just go through the notebook, definitely go through the notebook. After this lab is finished, before coming to the second lab, you must go through this notebook. You should have good understanding of Python because when you start working with pandas, things are going to get a little bit hazy. Okay, pandas is a very wide library and there are lots of things you can do. You have to have good understanding on Python programming language if you want to work with Python, pandas, and later on in scikit-learn. Now, so conditional statement. So this is your 1-2, the second notebook I have provided, 2 different notebooks. So conditional statement, just as before, you already have the idea, so I'm not going to discuss those things. So just the syntax is different. You know the conditional statement, just the syntax is now different. Condition. So this goes like this. If this should be a statement, but it should be a conditional statement. What this mean by conditional statement? The output should be either true or false. Okay, then a colon like this. Okay, if it is true, then you have to run this statement. The second statement, it should be there. Okay, in MATLAB you have to finish the if with an end, but in Python you don't have anything like this. So if this is true, run this, execute this statement, execute this line. Now, if you want to use something more, so you can use elif. The else if that you have in MATLAB, it is in short, in Python used in short, in elif. So in elif, you have another conditional statement. If it is If it is false, then you will go to the next one. Then it will check true or false. Then it will going to execute this statement. You can add another elif here, then another condition, then like this. And finally, you can finish it with an else. This is like this. So this is how a conditional statement works. You can try it by yourself. I have already given an example. So you can see here, if a is greater than 5, print this, elif eto, print this, else print this, like this way. Okay. So I have given some exercise problems to make you familiar with it. So try to solve those problems by yourself. Don't copy from another one. Just solve it by yourself. Achha. Then you have loop. Achha. Again, you are already familiar with the loop concept. We have done it several times, so I don't need to discuss the theory. So loop comes to form, for loop and while loop. Okay. Achha. Now, so everything is very similar, but one thing is different. Let me say, in MATLAB, we used to write like this way: for I is equals to 1 is to, let's say 10. X equals to a of I, things like that. Some statements are there, and that was in your MATLAB, right? Okay, it is on MATLAB. In Python, things are a little bit different. We start with for the same keyword. This is your iterator variable. That's the I. Same iterator variable, but we use the terminology in. If I in A, let's say I create an A is equals to, let's say I have Batman versus Superman, have Zack Snyder's Justice League, I have Watchmen. Okay. So if you write like this way, for I in A, so this I is the iterator variable, and it is saying if I in A, that means I is going to get this, the first element. In the next iteration, it is going to get the second element directly. Here we have to address it using numerical index. But in Python, we address those things directly. So if I in A, let's say I want to say lower. I just use the function lower, I dot lower, sorry. I dot lower, it is going to lower it. Okay, then let's say append it, b dot append, another list, b dot append, this I. Okay, there is no end. End is only in MATLAB, in Python, you don't have any end function. So this is how you go. So the difference is like in MATLAB, you use index to actually call for an element. In Python, you do it directly. So for I in something like a list, it has to be an iterable object. It can be a list, it can be a dictionary, things like that. For I in that, do this. Okay, so this is going to take the elements one by one, and then you can perform any operation with it. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So if it is clear, let's go. So I have give you some examples here. If you practice those examples, it should be very clear with you. And you can also have a nested loop like this, for this, like this way. Now, in case you have to use indexing, numerical indexing for some purpose, and you can use the range function. Range creates a list of items like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want like this way. So you can say look at this line, for I in range 5, then you can have I should have the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this way. So this is something very common. These are the two approaches that we use. If you have to directly use the iterable object, you can directly use the in. If you have to use a numerical index, you can use the range function to call it. Okay. Now also, let's see, if you have to go through a dictionary, so you can write like this way. You can write like this way. For I in, I had the dictionary John.keys. If I do like this way, John.keys, then it is going to go through all the keys, okay, one by one. Okay, then you can do something with the values, whatever you want to do. So that's how it works. So for this, if you want to have it clear, you have to practice a little bit problems. I have shown you some examples. So there are 2 examples are given. I have a list. I want to take the even numbers and odd numbers out and separate into 2 different lists. Okay, so see those examples. It will, if you practice those examples, it should make it very clear. Then Fibonacci sequence, definitely practice. Okay, without practice, it is not going to work. Just looking at it is not going to work. You have to practice by yourself in a Jupyter notebook. Give it a few hours. Okay. Give it 4 or 5 hours. It will be very easy for you to start working with Python. Okay. You don't need too much, but basic is enough. Acha, while loop is just the same. It is the same. You have the break function, same. The last thing. Okay. We have the Johor and Nawaz. So before we finish, let me finish this concept a little bit. It is discussed here. Python class is discussed here in detail. Okay, to give you some idea, let me just discuss in brief so that you can get the hang of it. Class, that is the most important part. Okay, Python class. So what does it mean by Python class? So let's see. This is actually falls under Python. Actually falls under something called an object-oriented programming. An object-oriented programming, in short, OOP. So your Python is actually an object-oriented programming language. Okay. Now, so it means Python also supports functional programming, but mostly it is an object-oriented programming. It means when you are creating like this, you are writing A is equals to, and I was writing like this way, A is equals to 2, 10, 5. I was creating actually an object. Okay, I previously mentioned something. So what kind of object is this? এটার অবজেক্টটা কি টাইপ? কি টাইপ? সবে কোথায় গেল?
List.
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 It is a list object. Okay. So object type হচ্ছে আমার list. If I write B is equals to, okay, Gandalf, this is a string object. Okay. So you are actually creating an instance of the object. Now think of it like this way. So who defines the list? Who has defined it? So how should be a list? So what you are defining it is this sign. This sign is actually indicating that this is the type, object type list. This is the sign that is defining this is the object type string. If you use curly braces, that is the define that it is the type dictionary. So in Python programmers, the developers has actually defined it like this way. So what they have defined, how they have defined it is using a class. Okay, so the class is like the blueprint. They have defined a blueprint, the blueprint of the how a list object can look like. Okay, so they have said in the blueprint, if we have put some elements inside third bracket, it will be a list. Okay, that's what makes it a list. So that is what makes a list. First of all, a list will have some properties, like it will have some length. How many elements are there? Let's say 3. It also have some methods. You have seen some of the methods previously. মনে আছে? Next last দিকে. So those things are defined using the inside the class in the blueprint, that if you create a list object, you can do these things with that list object. আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে? আমার কথা কি বোঝা যাচ্ছে নাকি মাথার উপর দিয়ে যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
আচ্ছা,
বুঝে
let me
যাচ্ছে।
give you- আমি তোমাকে আরেকটা এক্সাম্পল দিই। Yes, you have your voice is very low. Can you write it in the comment section? Just write it in the comment. I will reply. Acha. Let's see. Let me give you another example. Let's say I have an object called an apple. Okay. So I have an object apple. Now this apple object has some properties. What can be the properties of the object? It can have a color. Let's say the object that I have has the color green. It's a green apple. It also have an weight. Okay, so the weight can be, let's say, 0.25 gram. Okay, properties. Also, let's say it also has support some method. Method means what I can do with my object. What I can do with my object, I can eat it, right? This is a method. I can make juice of it, apple juice. Okay, আর কি করা যায়? I can slice it into different pieces. That's one thing. I can also throw it at others. Okay, I can throw my apple at someone else. So that's another thing we can do. Now, you see, this is my object. Let's say this is apple 1. This is apple 1 I have created. So this is the one type of object, apple 1. But let's say another one has a different apple. let's say apple 2, his apple, that color is red. That's a red apple. So it has the same property, weight, but the properties values are different. The weight is 20 gram. So he can eat it. All the methods are there, but only the properties are a little bit different. Are you following? আমার কথা কি বোঝা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
So what do we have here? You can see this is an instance. This is another instance. Instance of the same object. What is the type of the object? Is called apple. Okay. So apple is a, like if you look at like this way, so apple is a particular food, like a class, and you can, many people can have different instances of it. One instance can come with different properties. Okay, so the instance properties can be different. The method can also be a little bit different. I'll go there later. So apple is the object that we have, and these are the properties that you have. So what do you do is that you create a class. You create a class called apple and say this apple object, if the apple is a class, apple can have these properties. It can have the properties color, it can have the properties weight. So any apple object that you create will have these properties, but the value can be different. আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে? So also this apple object will have these methods, and those methods can be applied on that object. ঠিক আছে? Just like your list, you can create an instance, you can create a small list, large list, many different. So difference can be there, but there are some methods that you can apply on that object, list object. Okay. Yeah, Johar, yes, I'm going to finish within 1:10. If you want to go, you can go now. That's fine. I need a few minutes, 2-3 minutes to finish. Acha. Now the last thing. So let's say you have the apple. Let's create a more large class. Let's say the fruit class. I have another class that is called fruit. Okay. Now the fruit, I have the properties. This property is the same thing. It has a weight, it has a color. Okay. So I have these properties. It also have some functions. Okay, the functions this. So this class that we have, apple, it is something of a fruit, right? So the class apple that we have actually belongs to this superclass fruit. So the class apple I have, it is like an instance of the superclass fruit, and it can have the properties of the fruit that we create. Okay, so it can go this way. You can have a larger class, you can have a smaller class, but using this one, you can actually define the blueprint of what something should have. And inside that, the instance can have different properties. For instance, if you have something like another instance, let's say jackfruit of the class fruit. So jackfruit, kathal, now it has those weights, it has the color, but the methods that we have, you can see, you can eat jackfruit, but we don't make juice of it. Let's say juice panela. I can slice it, okay, slice column, but you don't throw a jackfruit at another one. So some of the methods you can use, some of the methods you may not use. So you can define like this way. So the instance can have separate properties, a little bit separate properties than the class, but the blueprint is already there. Okay, and that blueprint is different from another one, let's say flower. So when you come to flower, this is a different class. The instance will be different. So the properties will be different. You can have color, but we don't actually use the property weight to represent flower. You can say scent. You can say season. That's kind of something another instance. So these are the properties. The properties can be different. The methods will also be different. So what you can do with the flower, you can actually scent things like that, but you are not going to eat it. So different things. You can make oil from it, some of the. So the properties becomes different. So you have two different class, fruit and flower, and you have defined it. Inside it, you can create different objects like this way. আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে? So this is like this. So your list is like one class that was created by a Python developer. Your flood is different class. Okay, that is created by another developer. So these things have certain properties, certain methods that you can use. You can also your own class by yourself. So if you want to define something like create a new code, something new, you have to define it using a class so that anyone can create an instance from it and can actually create some properties and have some methods. They can do their own methods as well. So it goes like this way. Okay, আমার কথাটা বোঝা গেছে? Are you guys following?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the idea of the overall class. And when you write a code in Python, you actually try to go for creating a class. That's how we actually proceed. You create the blueprint on which you can actually work with. So you see, if you look at here, I have given you multiple versions of class how to create. So you can actually look at it. So this is the class wolf I have created myself. You don't have something like this. So this is how you define that keyword is class, and these are the properties: color and sound, white and how. And obviously you can say not all wolf has the color white. Some of has the color black. It can be. Some of can be gray color. So the color should not be a global property of the class, but it should be a local property based on the instance. আমার কথা বোঝা যাচ্ছে? So you can also define it like this way, define init. So this is called a constructor. Using this, you can see make color as a local property. Depending on the instance, it can change. So this is how define init. You can actually create a optional property. And you see this underscore here, init এর সামনে. Can you see it? দেখা যাচ্ছে?
Yes, sir.
So remember, when you are using list, at first, when you are using the directory, there are some underscore there, right? ছিল না? So that is actually because list had some class, and inside the class there are something like this, like a constructor that is defined before. Those things actually comes from here inside a class. So these things you will understand gradually, but the basic concept of class, you can actually look at this one, or how inheritance work, how method overriding work. You want to override one of the method of the original class. So that is how we can do it. So these things are there with some example, 2 or 3 examples are there. It should be clear. It is not very important for you, but you should have understanding of the class so that it can work with Python. Okay. Any question? Any question from now? কারো কোনো question আছে? If no question, please write your ID in the chat book. We are done for today. This is the first lab. I have already uploaded an assignment. Try to solve those problems by yourself. But before that, you should actually go through all these 2 notebooks, the notebooks I have provided, part 1 and part 2. Then actually go for the assignments. Definitely do that. If you face any problems, you can send me an email or comment in the assignment section. I will reply to it as soon as I can. Okay. If you are done, then just write your student ID and leave.
Sir,
Yes.
when will we have our second lab?
আচ্ছা, সেকেন্ড ল্যাব আছে এখানে। সেকেন্ড ল্যাব তো সামনের ল্যাব A1 and A2. So this week, এই উইকে A2 এর ল্যাব আর হচ্ছে না। So you are done. Both section A is done. তারপরের উইকে শুরু হবে আবার ল্যাব, ঠিক আছে? নাও এখানে একটা সমস্যা, কারণ তোমাদের সেকশন A এর ল্যাবটা দিছে হচ্ছে টেলিকম ল্যাবে, তাই না? সেকশন A ল্যাব টেলিকম ল্যাবে না?
Yes, sir.
হ্যাঁ,
Yes,
টেলিকম
sir.
ল্যাব। সো টেলিকম ল্যাবের সমস্যা, কারণ টেলিকম ল্যাবে ক্লাস নেওয়া যায় না। আমার যতটা মনে আছে তারা এখনো কিছু চেঞ্জ করেনি। সো ওখানে ক্লাস নেওয়া ইম্পসিবল। আমার এই যে কনস্ট্যান্টলি আমার হচ্ছে কিছু দেখাতে হবে প্রজেক্টরে এন্ড বোর্ডে লিখতে হবে, এই 2টা জিনিস আমার জন্য মাস্ট, ঠিক আছে? তাছাড়া ক্লাস নেওয়া ওখানে পসিবলই না। সো আই নিড সাম আদার অপশনস। আইদার এখন হয়েছে কি, সমস্যা হয়েছে কি, ওই ল্যাব অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্টকে আমরা বারবার বলি, ঠিক আছে? আমি 2 বছর ধরে বলতেছি, কিন্তু উনি শোনে না, উনি জিনিসটা চেঞ্জ করতেছে না। একটা কাজ করতে পারো, আচ্ছা আমরা